Okay, well, we're going on a walk again. So, lots of stuff. Yep, we're still in Brazil. I was actually supposed to go somewhere else, but I got sick and I couldn't do it. But I am fully recovered now and back out on a beautiful day. Geez, I don't even know what day it is. Sometime in May. And here, remember this big hill? So, we're going to talk about infiltration dreams. Why? Well, because some people, when they get really heated, when they experience a lot of sort of low-level base feelings, and I don't mean that in a way to say that it's bad to experience these feelings or bad to have these experiences and feelings. Really, what I'm trying to get across is that it happens, and sometimes people just get really upset. Maybe they're disillusioned about something, or they believe a lie that somebody else told and it really affects them. Or really, it's kind of like they are letting it affect them, but for whatever reason, this happens. So, what I found happening when this happens is that people who are associated with those individuals that start to have these really strong emotional outputs. I'm going to cross the street here as soon as it's safe. When people start to have those really strong emotional outputs, the people associated with them often strongly pick up on them. And the way it shows up in their dreams can be a feeling of darkness, or maybe a person who isn't quite right, or they seem to be like the trickster version of a person that might be projecting. And it can be different. Like, you can have the same thing show up in a dream, like the trickster version of the person who's projecting, and it could mean something else. So I'm not saying that this is it. It means the same thing every time you see it, but it really is a good indication that somebody's pretty upset. Or that you've come across some less than ideal energy structures, right? So let's talk about this a little bit, because I teach a spiritual hygiene class, and something that's common to a lot of people who are coming into the class, or who are just kind of learning about spirituality. And I'm not talking about like being in a church. I'm talking about like learning that all is one and that they are connected to their higher aspects and that there's galactic things and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so when people are getting into that, they realize pretty quickly that not everybody is super nice. What a surprise. But like there's this thing that isn't talked about very much because people are fearful, people are scared, and fear really brings you down in vibration. It can really cause the very thing that you are afraid of. So ultimately, it's really you projecting the reality onto yourself when you're having fear, but also when you're having joy. So let's dig into that fear aspect a little bit, because I, in my classes, always want to empower the students so that they know what to do when somebody projects on them or they, create their own fear projection. So you might feel that something is off. You might just wake up just feeling crabby. And it's different, like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes we wake up and we are just crabby and that's that. And then it goes away. But it might just feel different, right? So this is what we're talking about. And maybe you don't see that anything feels different. Okay. That's fine, because we're going to talk about how it shows up in your dreams anyway. So I'm just thinking, should I take a right and go towards the park? No, I think I'm just going to keep going this way. Oh, look at this big, huge leaf. That's so cool. So it can show up in a dream as a goth version of you or someone you know. For example, I've seen where an infiltrator did try to get at me and didn't succeed, but in a dream I saw it. I saw it coming. And it was a goth version of me who came in through an open window in the attic, and then they created a hatch door in the attic floor and just kind of like carved it out and then came down. And when they came, I looked up and I saw a black raven, and I love ravens, but this one was like telling me that something was off, basically. So I went down and found the goth version of me, and she was trying to talk to me like she was my friend and everything, and I was like, no, you are not allowed to be here. And I got my husband, who was there in the dream, and had him kick this person out. So that's one example. And then of course when I woke up, I cleared myself just in case, like, I had any lingering energies stuck to me. But it's fine, you don't like to see those kinds of dreams, but when you do, you just take care of it. Okay. Oh, there's some trash. Guess that today's not trash day. Another kind. I started to see these dreams with various people when they were not realizing that they were involved in cult-like energies. And I encourage you, because I'm walking, I'm not going to look it up, but I definitely encourage you to look up what that is. Like, how do people, I'm going to take a right here and see if I can get lost. That kind of sounds mean, right? Get lost, Janise. But it's fun in Brazil. It's all safe, as you can see. Beautiful. So you don't know that you're in a cult, right? Like, only the people outside know that you're in a cult. And sometimes those people know because they've been in that cult. And they realized that energy was not aligned. Like, there were some lies and silliness going on. So they just disconnected themselves. And we're not talking about the type of cult where you wear purple robes and I don't know what they even do, like drink Kool-Aid, right? Like, I'm not talking about that kind of thing where it's like apparent, right? You have to chant somebody's name before you walk in the gate. You know, it's not like that. It's subtle. Most of the cults that are happening now are low key, but they do involve a leader who kind of is sneaky about dividing people. Like, the leader might tell one person some special information about another person that is surprisingly disparaging, but it's so off that the person the leader is telling it to is not going to go to that person and say, hey, so-and-so told me this. What's that? Is that a thing? Even though every bone, every fiber in my body says that's exactly what you should do. Like, why would you hear a disparaging thing about someone and then just go, oh, yeah, that's got to be true? You know, why wouldn't you go to that person and ask them? Like, what's it going to hurt? Sometimes these cult leaders will say, oh, and you don't want to go to that person because they're going to get mad at you, or they're just going to deny it anyway, and you don't want to stir them up because if you stir them up, they'll do dark, evil things to you. And absolutely, this is what happens. And then people believe it. Now this is the part in the cult where you drink the Kool-Aid, right? So how does that show up in dreams? Well, it's kind of a hard question to answer. Why did I even make this as the subject? It's kind of hard to talk about. But let's say you are doing something that is in alignment in the dream. You're in your flow, you're in your dharma, and then suddenly a kind of like a rude person comes up and like does something to you, you know. It could be a little bit innocuous, but like, let's say they push you over or something. And then you say, hey, like, why'd you do that? Stop doing that. And then the person in the dream acts like, oh, well, it was just an accident. You know, like, oh, I'm just going to push you and you fall, but, oh, that was an accident. And so you kind of go, oh, okay, well, let me just go about my way. And then you're going and you're doing your thing. And then you come back around and the person does something else to you. And then you're not sure now at this point in the dream if it's an accident or if it was real. It's worse. Like the first time it's not as bad. You kind of get used to the behavior, and then you get used to questioning yourself, like, oh gosh, how could I get mad at that person because it was just an accident? And so you start to question yourself, kind of gaslighting, I guess, in the dream. So I'll give you an example dream of when this happened. Okay, so let me just pass this noise right now. Okay, so in the dream, the dreamer sees some archways, and they are attempting to move through these archways. And at the end of them, there's a boy whose name is Mickey. And, Mickey is kind of like the vandal name. Let's just say like the goth-like character, right? That I was giving you in the earlier example. It's not, but like, there's Mickey and Mike, and you get it. So in this dream, this person's trying to go through these arches over the water to get to this other beautiful place. And Mickey kicks them in the back. And the person turns around and says, why would you do that? Stop doing that. And Mickey just acts like it was an accident. Like he just kind of looks at you, and he's a little boy in the dream, so you're just kind of thinking, okay, I guess nothing to worry about. It's just this kid doing what he does. I'm just going to forget about it. And then later in the dream, you're again going, passing through the water, just trying to be in your flow, walking through the arches, and Mickey is standing there, and guess what? He turns around and he is peeing on the ground, and he turns around and just pees all over you. Just pees all over you. And then that's when you're questioning yourself at this point, right? Like, wait, was that an accident too? Can I just say, oh, well, he's just a little kid, he didn't mean to do it? Whether or not this was on purpose, it was a huge disrespectful thing to do. But what are you going to do? It's probably just an accident, so you just go on your way. So when you look at that dream using the Dharma Vita method, looking for the flow, where is the flow disrupted, looking for the programming, it's a perfect dream to look for programming, because that's what cults do, right? Cult leaders prey on people who are kind and who would never think that way. Like people who get pulled in the cults really don't think that way until they start to do that, right? So at some point in someone's programming, they start to truly believe that other people are bad or need to be punished, or they're disrupting and they're trying to hurt their leader, and they need to hurt that person because they're doing the work, right? They're doing the good deeds of the leader so that the leader doesn't get hurt, because poor leader, oh my gosh, so essentially cults are showing up in dreams. I'll even give you an example of another one, because I know you love to talk about dreams. So maybe I'll just, well, this is a school next to me. So this is an interesting one. Oh, there's a VW bug. How cute. So these young girls are waiting to get in to this building that belongs to a leader. It appears to be like a religious place, or a what is that called when it's like supposed to be like churchy? Oh, there's this word I can't remember, like sanctum. I don't know, but like it's supposed to be a place like this that's spiritually safe, let's say. But you can kind of tell from the outside because the windows kind of have dark colors, and people are lined up and they can't get in. Like they have to do something special to get in, like a special handshake, or they have to, have a special code to get in. So this is, again, classic, like, oh, the cult leader can tell me that I'm special. The cult leader is going to let me in if I just stay here and wait at the doors for me to be special. Sooner or later, I'm going to be special. I'm going to be chosen. So, again, another example of what comes up in a dream that can help you see if you or a loved one or one of your clients is associated with a cult, or is just exhibiting, or if they're just around cult-like behavior. Because maybe they haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet, right? Maybe they're around it and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I want this leader to love me. Like, I adore this leader, and if they don't tell me that I'm special, then I'll never believe it, and I just really want that. So maybe one of your clients is going through that right now, and it's going to start showing up in their dreams like that. So what would I do? Well, it's tricky because, like I said in the beginning, people in a cult don't know they're in a cult, but it shows up in their dreams. So how do you help? How do you be of assistance to that person? You can talk about the dream and the programming in the dreams and help them clear that. And often that will give them the boost that they needed, right? The self-esteem, the confidence that they needed. Because they're looking to that leader to give them something, to give them the confidence or the self-esteem. But they can only give that to themselves. So if the programming around that is gone, then that frees up their energy, their body, their mind to have freedom to choose for themselves. So I would just encourage you, if you see this in your dreams or someone else's dreams, well, I guess if you see it in your dreams, just know that that's happening. But if you see it in someone else's dreams, you can talk to them about the programming. Like, well, why is it that you need someone else to tell you this? Why does someone else have to tell you that you're funny, pretty, great, smart, gifted? So that's like a really good question to ask when that happens, and just kind of see what the response is and see if you can get a conversation going and provide them with encouragement and say nice things to them, like just for free, right? You don't have to like be part of a cult to have nice things be said about you. You shouldn't. Those things are easily recognizable in just about every person I come across. So just give freely of love and attention and compliments. So that's essentially it. If you or a friend you know is involved in a cult, here's what you do. It's not fun. And so often the cult leader will have their followers do their bidding. So they will kind of spread misinformation about somebody. So then what happens is the followers go and try to take things in their own hands. And then that makes the leader free, right? Clear. They didn't do anything wrong. At least they don't think they did. So I'm going to cross. Well, I guess I should say I don't know that if they think they did anything wrong or not. Like, I think it's pretty obvious, but whatevs. The other thing that they do is they, it's kind of like what I said before. They just try to divide people up, and they'll also just say things about how they are punishing somebody who's no longer in their cult, right? Oh, well, I'm doing this, or I'm going to sue that person, because nobody wants to get sued, right? Them's fighting words. And so, like, cult leaders will use this kind of thing too, to get people scared and get them to just like, oh, well, then I'll never do anything you don't want me to do. And that's what it is. But hey, I'm back home now. I'm going to go ahead and get some nice sparkling water, which they call agua con gas. Yep, it has gas in it. Yummy. And my door closed. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.